Hello, 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 and welcome to Updog Sports Talk. My name is Matt Miller. Joining me today is my good pal Justin. What's going on, man?
What is up? We are here. We're finally back into college football season. No more off season anymore. We had week 0 happen. It's good to be back.
Yeah, and here at Updog Sports Talk, we like to stick up for the little guy, and the little guy balled out this past weekend. Week 0, there was a lot happening, a lot of FCS games, just a lot of little guys out there. So, perfect time for us to get together and talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to be diving into some storylines we have for week 0, in particular, like the quarterback play. There's a lot of quarterbacks that we learned about that you'll need to pay attention to the rest of the year. Then we'll look at some of those FCS storylines, including one upset that definitely shaped the FCS landscape in terms of the playoffs race already. And then we'll dive into some week 1 storylines. And of course, we'll wrap up the segment with our wrap up the show of our week 1 picks for this week.
Yeah,
So
and it actually looked like for a little bit that we weren't gonna be able to go live because I hit the wrong buttons and was in the wrong place. All right, Justin, let's jump in. What is the first thing that we got to talk about today?
yeah, so week 0 for sure. Like it was a very fun day just all throughout. Like you had the wacky Kansas State, Iowa State Farmageddon game in Ireland. I tried to say all of that at the same time and it didn't go well there. Um, we had that game, which was just wild and wacky throughout. And then you go from there to immediately, you've got a huge FCS upset alert. And then the afternoon slate originally looked light, but then Idaho State made a show of it. And then you get to the night slate, and Hawaii just steals the show. So we'll start with Hawaii. Yeah, I think the world learned of Mike Alejado this weekend because that dude is a baller. And our good friend Bobby of the TNT College Football podcast
Shout out.
posted a stat that Alejado has not lost a game since 2022, and you could tell that this guy's a gamer. He was beaten and battered. Definitely looked down and out in the third quarter when he got hurt. Like we were worried
Yeah,
he was done.
he would come in for each possession and literally hop off the field and have a coach go under his arm and help him off.
Yeah,
Like, dude wanted to be out there. I'm sure he fought with the coaching staff and was like, "Who else are you gonna put out here? Who else wants to win? Like me? No one." That's
he
right.
said he said I will die for this team.
Yeah. What a game too. And then the kicker, I got it right once, and since then I have not gotten his name right. I'm not gonna attempt it. Matsuzawa.
That may not be correct, but yeah,
I
everyone.
apologize. I have not gotten it right since the first time that I said it correctly. But what a story. Did you hear about this story, Justin?
Yeah, absolutely. We have been posting about it.
He was a server at a Morton's steakhouse in Japan. Gets enough money to go on a vacation to the United States and decides to go on the West Coast. Watches an NFL game and is like, wow, that was cool. Goes back to Japan and starts kicking from YouTube videos. He starts learning how to kick from YouTube videos. Then he puts a bunch of videos out there of him kicking, gets picked up by some like D3 school in Ohio. Is there
Which,
kickoffs?
by the way, we are in Ohio. We had never heard of Hocking
Yeah.
College either.
Kind of rough idea of where it's at, but
There's a
he was
hint.
a kickoff specialist. Then he took over for place kicking duties, and then got picked up by Hawaii and hit the game winner against ACC Stanford.
That still takes a lot to get used to.
All of it has to get used to. But what a great story, dude. I mean, like this guy, what it like. I'm gonna be following Hawaii all year because of this. I got texts from people. after that game going, I told you about Hawaii. I told you Hawaii was going to be good. It's cool. It's real cool. Is Hawaii back?
I think Hawaii's back. Like there was a definite like it already kind of felt like there was a buzz. Like I couldn't tell what it was. Like I kept seeing throughout like all of our circles this off season, like different people like Colt Brennan showed up on our feed so often this off season, and really so did Timmy Chang from his playing days as well. Like the Hawaii nostalgia was so strong. And it was just like we're all like just trying to will it into existence to finally get Hawaii football back. And as I mentioned in my article that came out today, like, then they announced Aloha Stadium is coming back, estimated for 2029. Like, that was another huge piece because really things had not been the same for the program since the previous Aloha Stadium was condemned in right at the beginning of 2020, which was, yeah. So like it was really great to kind of see them back to that because I remember the last time we saw something like this was in 2019 when they hosted Arizona. That game was very different than this one. It was very back and forth, lots of offense. I think Cole McDonald for Hawaii like threw like 4 touchdowns and 4 picks that game. They still beat Arizona. Khalil Tate like took off on a run on the last play, got like 5 yards short. But it was that kind of stuff that we saw again. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. Like it truly was such an awesome moment for
You
for
know
that
what else
program.
was an awesome moment,
What else?
Justin? Maverick MacGyver. What a
Yeah,
great weekend.
this is a train. If you have been paying attention to us all off season since probably about May, this has been a hype train that we have been on for a very long time. So yeah, make sure you pay attention to us because we do what we were talking about. Actually, I've been talking about MacGyver since he was at Abilene Christian last year. This
You've been
guy,
talking about Maverick MacGyver since he left Texas Tech.
actually, yeah, I've been talking about him ever since he torched me in NCAA 14 with when I was using like the tail end. It was at the tail end of like a downloaded roster from 2019.
Yeah, he balled out, dude. I mean, what was it? Like he was pretty close to 500 yards that game.
He wasn't close to 500, but he crossed the 400-yard barrier, and of course they had a comfortable lead in the fourth quarter. Like his arm is just incredible. Like he could sling it pretty much anywhere. And you look at the weapons he has around him. Like this offense is going to be tough to stop. Like, Matthew Henry was a star. Like he was so fast. Houston just could not find any way to deal with him. He ended up like
Well,
148 yards receiving.
well, they did have a rough spell in the third quarter because we blinked and all of a sudden Sam Houston had the lead. We had to go back and watch what happened because like neither of us. I mean, we had the quad box. We were paying attention to other games. We were chit chatting, and then we look up, and then Sam Houston has the lead, and we're like, "Wait, what? How'd that happen?"
Yeah, we ended up in like a 5 minute conversation with our wives. And all of a sudden, Sam Houston was in the lead. Like really what happened was like Sam Houston. So that's the other thing too. This Western Kentucky team knows how to respond when they get punched in the mouth because that's what happened at the start of the second half. Sam Houston got in a long drive, one of those drives you want to go on to keep a dangerous offense off the field, and then immediately gets a scoop and score. So they got the lead 24-20. All momentum in Sam Houston's side there. And then all Maverick McIver in that offense did was respond by just taking over the game. So like this offense is very impressive, and like you could tell in that second half he was just on a different level. Like in the first half, kind of was a little bit choppy, like didn't miss miss some throws a little bit, but the second half he was just on it. And now, I mean, make sure you watch this team all year because this is going to be a very fun team to watch and a very dangerous one at that.
Yeah. So one other quarterback that I wanted to highlight was Nichols, quarterback. He was lighting up Incarnate Ward.
He threw his first career touchdown. Matt, we had very minimal success with him actually. Deuce Hogan. He was at New Mexico State. I think he was our starter in that first dynasty we did in College Football 25.
Yeah, we love starting with New Mexico State, and then it turned out that for College Football 26 that they implemented like a dynasty challenge, and you start with New Mexico State. So maybe we started the whole thing.
Yeah, I know. Like that dynasty challenge is right up our alley. It was literally what we have been doing since college.
Yeah. Um, what else we got? We talked about quarterbacks.
Jalen Daniels was the last one there. Another quarterback that we talked highly of this offseason.
Very efficient.
When we are looking for a team in the Big 12 that could really step in and be a surprise team, I looked at Kansas and I was like, you know what? This offense was just, they were just a little bit off in their games. And then late in the year, they kind of figured it out. I was like, if they can keep what they had in November going and find some pieces on the defensive side, like this team could go. And we saw all indications of that in week 0. Jalen Daniels he had more touchdowns than completions,
Yeah.
so that was just a dominant effort.
Yeah, I think it was like 18 for 20 for like 173 yards passing and 3 total touchdowns. Dude played well. This is what we expected from them last year. So if they can keep it up, Kansas maybe in the playoff conversation. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, at one point I think I had Kansas as like my pick to make the Big 12 championship, and then I ended up flipping to Utah at the last moment. But we'll see how that works out. But Kansas looks very dangerous right now, for sure. So make sure you're keeping an eye on them. Kansas, Missouri. It's great to see that rivalry back in a few weeks. That's going to be a game to keep your eye on.
Yeah. You know what a game that we had our eyes on this past weekend in week 0 was the UC Davis Mercer game.
Oh, no, 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 no!
But yeah, it didn't happen. It got canceled. Nothing official. But I think it showcased to us that both teams are going to be studs this year.
Yeah, for sure. Like UC Davis went to I think he was a true freshman. He's a freshman of some sort at
I think he's a
quarterback,
true
and
freshman.
it was very clear why. Like he was really good. I think he completed his first 9 passes, and then you look at Mercer. Kind of, they had a hard time dealing with UC Davis's offense at first, and then that team responded. They responded and made a comeback. They were in position to potentially take the lead when the the game basically got wiped off the face of the earth. That game, the one challenge is though the long lasting implications of this game being canceled is now both teams have one less win available, and there is a certain amount of wins that the FCS playoffs committee likes to look for. So that is a huge risk for both teams now without having this data point. Now that'll be something to kind of monitor moving forward, especially with UC Davis in a very deep Big Sky.
Yeah, I mean, I think UC Davis can get it done. But I mean, if UC Davis gets in and Mercer has the same record, wouldn't you look at putting Mercer in also? Like the FCS playoffs are going to be. I think it's going to end up being a shit show just because of this game. It has that massive implication.
It will depend. Because yeah, I think we have seen in recent years the Big Sky is more likely to get the benefit of the doubt than the SoCon. The SoCon only got Mercer in the playoffs last year. So that is going to be very interesting. The SoCon has grown. When you say there's going to be a shit show, like the SoCon are the ones that are bracing for the shit show right now because that is a league with very passionate fans, and they have not been happy with where their teams are ending up. Then with Mercer coming back, like that was a huge lost opportunity.
Yeah, I also had my eyes on that Incarnate Word Nichols game, expecting something from Incarnate Word, and we found out very quickly that they may not be the same team this year. And then we found out very quickly that Nichols might have a squad.
That defense, man, they were swarming.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that team's gonna be really interesting all year. And of course, one thing to keep an eye on there is because ever since Sam Houston left the Southland, it has either been Incarnate Word or Nichols has won the conference. So you look at that, you realize Nichols already entering week 1 has a huge leg up in the Southland. Now, of course, remains to be seen what we're going to see there. Did this game indicate that maybe the Southland is a bit more wide open than we're used to seeing? Maybe another team like Southeastern or anyone like that might make their way in there as well. We'll find out. Or does it just simply mean Nichols is the team to beat overall? We'll find out. I'm very excited to see. I like a wide open Southland because that conference is just so regional, so intense. Like it is just a very fun conference. And I should say also, I need to mention Stephen F. Austin as well. They're also a contender within that.
Yeah. And the UTRGV Vaqueros.
Yeah, more
They
on them
play their
later.
first they they play their first game this weekend.
Yeah,
And if we weren't so far away, we definitely would have been at that game.
it would probably take us a whole day to drive there. But actually, we'll use that as our segue. We'll use that as a segue. Let's look forward to week one. So that is the number one thing I would say is we have a brand new football team taking the field in the UTRGV Vaqueros.
Now they did play some exhibition games last year just to kind of get going. But they unveiled new facilities this past week. They're ready to go. The players are excited, the coaches are excited. Don't know if they have any fans yet, but it sounds like they got
They
us.
do. No, they do. That opener has been sold out for such a long time, and actually, some friends of the show have looked for tickets, and at one point, there was only one set of tickets available, and they were the most expensive ticket on the market, even more expensive than Ohio State, Texas.
Dang. And
That is
Ohio
how
State's
intense.
average ticket is over $500.
Yeah, it was intense, and I think tomorrow's not Friday. Friday, they're going to make a few more available behind the end zone, and that's about it. So that's your only chance to see them. But from what I've been seeing from people that are closer to the area that we follow, there has been a buzz in the valley about this team. Like this is their first experience into college football down there. In that little, like, this is like that southern tip of Texas down there. Pretty much anywhere south of San Antonio is not seeing college football at all, really. And now they're getting their first taste of it, and they're ready. They are so ready. And you look at this team, they're going to be a player in a few years, I feel like. Once they're eligible for the playoffs, like, they're going to be in there because you look at the facilities, you look at the stadium, they have some of the nicest at the FCS level.
Yeah. I feel like they could be like ones that, like, if they had longevity and long-term success, maybe could make the jump up and just be random rivals with UTEP, state rival UTEP.
I mean, they're a little bit closer to UTSA than UTEP, but I
They
mean,
need that 15-hour drive out to UTEP.
it is like FBS level facilities.
Yes, very nice.
Whenever they figure out all the junk that they want to figure out, and because right now there's pretty much like a hold on anyone else moving up from FCS, you see your Conference USA, you see the support that they're getting. You almost wonder if maybe they're like, okay, maybe we need them along with Tarleton State.
Yeah, that would be super sweet.
Because you've seen a lot of times, like a lot of those call ups, a lot of call ups have been programs that started football and then immediately worked their way up. Like UTSA actually followed a very similar path. Well, where they started football and then immediately moved up. But I think they had the plan to move up to FBS all along, where UTRGV, they were in the UAC before the Southland. So at one point that was on their minds. That was what the UAC was. The UAC was, hey, we're together. We're all playing to move up to FBS at some point. Um, so that vision's there, but we'll have to wait and see. Either way, I'm okay wherever they are. I'm just excited to see this team play
Yeah, we got to
within
get
the
through
next few
their
years.
first year of football first.
Yeah, you better believe I'm going to be glued to the TV when that game starts on Saturday.
I have never been more excited to watch an ESPN Plus game.
I know. Yeah, forget it. Forget about LSU and Clemson on ABC. We're going to be glued to ESPN Plus. Actually, we'll just have the quad box. But yeah, so that's a really exciting one. Some other exciting storylines to watch here in week one starts tomorrow night. There are two very thrilling debuts going on tomorrow night. The first that we'll talk about here, and actually I got an article from The Athletic just a moment ago, so they must know that we're talking about this. Michael Vick makes his head coaching debut with Norfolk State. This game is on ESPNU. So make sure you throw this one in the quad box. And I mean, this is a huge transformative moment for the Norfolk State program. Like their football program has honestly not been known for a whole lot. This was a program that's been known for their basketball because in the last decade or so, their basketball program has won a lot. But sorry, you get Michael Vick in here now, and you've got name recognition, and you're already on ESPNU. Opening Thursday, or on Norfolk State is on linear TV. Like, what a
Yeah.
huge moment.
I mean, other than basketball, when have we been able to say that?
Yeah, not often. Not often
Yeah.
at all.
Michael Vick was saying that he missed being in the locker room. So he said he's a locker room guy. He missed being in there. He missed being like all for the camaraderie and everything about like the team. So and being home in Norfolk, I think it's special for him and it's going to be exciting to watch. But Justin, he's not the only one making his debut.
Yeah, his former teammate with
Hold on. These two played together. Michael Vick came back from suspension, got thrown into a game, and had a 98-yard touchdown pass to this guy. This guy was Michael Vick's receiver, Deshaun Jackson. They actually play later this year, and it's going to be super exciting to watch. But, Justin, who do they play?
Yeah, so not only does Deshaun Jackson make his debut at Delaware State, they play in-state opponent Delaware, who is making their debut as an FBS program. What a transformative moment for college football in the first state in America.
Yeah. Um yeah, it's super exciting. A lot going on this weekend. We have all of that. Plus, tomorrow night, we have the Cincinnati Bearcats at home in Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City facing Nebraska.
Oh man, this is like the most sold. Oh, well, oh yeah, we'll do it now. Yeah, this is the most sold game of all time. Originally, we would be planning on being there at Nippert tomorrow night for this game. We absolutely would have been there for it. And then they moved the game to Lucas Oil. Indy throws them some money and decides, okay, we'll do this. And UC agrees. And we still probably would have tried to be there tomorrow night. But then Indy decides they don't want it anymore, and they ship this thing out to Kansas City, 8 hours closer to Nebraska and their fans compared to here.
Yeah, and New Heights Pod said that they were going to look at going to the game. So
Nice.
Travis and Jason Kelsey will probably be there. Maybe Taylor Swift will be a UC fan.
Yeah, no, that would be very huge for the UC brand.
Yeah.
If she shows up to that game in Arrowhead with a UC jersey, UC's about to take off.
There will be record high enrollment for UC next year. Although I think
Yeah.
they hit record high enrollment this year, so it's moot point. But what else we got,
That,
Justin? This is a big weekend.
yeah, we had some awesome ones this weekend. Another one at the FCS level to watch is Sacramento State and South Dakota State. I don't know how this game's non-TV. They're literally broadcasting LSU and Clemson on ESPNU as well. Like that is so dumb. Just put this game on ESPNU because it is an incredible game. It's a
And with
sellout.
Sacramento State, we're gonna be able to see the go-go offense.
Yeah, the go-go offense. I think Jalen Rashada is going to start, so we get to finally see him take some action after all the recruiting mishaps that guy has had. And we really, there's been like a whole offseason of hype around Sacramento State. We get to really see like, is the hype real or not? Because they're going up against the biggest test, which is South Dakota State, one of the pillars of FCS football in Brookings, South Dakota, in a sold-out stadium. that environment's going to be pretty incredible on Saturday.
Yeah. What else do we got, Justin?
I mean, we have a lot of great games. We are going to, at least in terms of underrated storylines, we'll wrap it up with Washington State and Idaho playing on the CW. The Battle of the Palouse is finally reunited. I think this is the first time these programs have played since Idaho moved down to the FCS level, which is very disappointing because this used to be a very entertaining rivalry, especially way back in the day, back when they were in the same conference together. When this happened, they loser would have to walk home. Now that tells you how regional it is. It's close enough for the loser to walk home. But the funny part was those Idaho that shared it and showed Washington State walking home, which also just imagine what it'd be like nowadays if Washington State went to play Idaho in the Kibby Dome. How much fun would that be?
That would be so much fun. Would never happen in a million
No,
years, but
I know Washington State fans be like, oh no, we don't gain anything from this. Why would we do that? But no, hey guys, come on now. This is that Power Four mindset, and the Power Four mindset's what screwed you guys over. So maybe start to fight against that a little bit by just fighting back with straight up fun and play a game in the Kibby.
yeah, I mean, I think the FCS kickoff should have been in the Kibby Dome, so we could have a game. But yeah, I digress.
Which, by the way, UC Davis did post clips of it, and I was like, hang on, this wasn't supposed to exist. Their athletic director liked it, so I like that he has a good sense of humor. So, anyways, we continue our week one look ahead by diving into our picks for week one. Now, this segment is a recurring segment that we do every week of the year during the college football season. Last year, I defeated Matt by 5 games. I had an 89-51 record. Matt went 84-56. But we are making a few changes this year to the pick'ems. For one, some new challengers have entered the fray. We have also added our intern Tony to the pick'ems. Obviously, we can't leave our intern out. Just because he's an intern doesn't mean he can't take part. But also, we have some other accounts and programs joining the pick'ems as well. So CFB Home will be joining along with Bobby from the TNT College Football Podcast, along with Omar. You've seen him before on our show from Redshirt Sports and the Hardware Pod and many other things. And then also the other change that we made this year, we kind of took a step back and we decided to go more towards picking the more underrated games on the slate. Like, for example, this weekend, like, we're not going to pick Ohio State, Texas. You have heard 100 people at this point talk about this game. You've heard Fox talk about nothing but this game for 3 months now. So there's really nothing that we're us at Updog Sports Talk are going to add to that. We are going to instead break down and talk about these other games in the slate that are also very entertaining and kind of try to give you some insights that maybe you didn't have from there. So diving in here, we open out with a huge game from the American. The East Carolina Pirates take their trip down the road to Raleigh to take on the NC State Wolfpack. The Pirates had their eyes on trying to plunder another victory over NC State after they took them down in the Military Bowl. That game ended in the brawl. So there is no love lost here. We have intern Tones taking NC State CFB home as well, TNT as well. And then Omar was the difference there with ECU. But Matt, who do you have and why?
I have NC State. I think that I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a good game, but I think that NC State has done enough in the portal to kind of overcome what happened in the bowl, and I think a lot of their players sat out in the bowl game. I think this game isn't one that they're going to want to sit out, but I don't know. Wolfpack by a field goal.
I was so torn on this one.
Me too.
I definitely see East Carolina covering this one. I decided it's going to be tough. I think East Carolina's going to be really fun on offense. They do have some new pieces on defense, which is going to be pretty tough. And NC State does not have much hype around them, which tells you they're going to win 9 games this year. That is just what NC State does. Ultimately, I ended up leaning on NC State. I was like, I would rather pick NC State in this one and be surprised that East Carolina won instead of going the other way. So I am going with the Wolfpack here. Next, in the ACC, Bill Belichick's debut as a head coach in college football. A wild story throughout the whole offseason now takes the field on Monday night. In comes the TCU Horned Frogs on the other end of yet another high profile debut. After 2 years ago, they were on the other end of Deion Sanders' debut as a head coach. This one will be very interesting because at least TCU, they've been on the other side of it now. They've been through it once. Maybe they have some other lessons to learn, which is the mindset of all of our guest pickers, Intern Tones, CFB Home, TNT, and Omar, all have TCU winning this one. Matt, what are your thoughts?
I am rooting for Bill Belichick here. I think that he takes over a solid program that Mac Brown built, but now he gets to add in his own coaching flavor to it. Mac Brown, I think, just kind of aged out of being able to coach, to call plays. I think he's a great coach, but I think he kind of aged himself out of being able to call plays effectively. Bill Belichick, I think he's still got that itch. I think he can still get it done. He knows how to win, and he knows how to win with teams that you don't expect to win. This is that scenario.
Yeah, I looked at this and I was like, you know what? They are at home. It is a cross country trip for TCU. Very weird game, by the way. This game is very weird. And I decided, you know what? If TCU is not able to run the ball again this year, they may find themselves in trouble against Bill Belichick because you know that he knows how to cook up some pretty good pass coverages. Now, I don't know how many of those are going to be able to use as college players, but at the same time, like I know he's going to throw some tricks in there and maybe force Josh Hoover into a couple game-changing picks. I am going with the Tar Heels as well. We are going against all of the other pickers in this one.
Updog versus the world, baby.
Hey, intern Tones is part of Updog, even he couldn't join us tonight.
OG
So
executive level Updog versus the world.
we're calling ourselves executives now?
Something like that. Let's move on to the next conference, the Big 12. Probably our favorite at this point. Um, Conference, that is. Utah at UCLA.
Favorite power conference, baby. We're matching guys through and through. Um, yeah, Utah, UCLA, the Utes. This is a classic Pac-12 after dark game, really. And now they're in whatever conferences they are these days. But the Utes look to rebound. Both teams really looking for a rebound after disappointing years last year. Utah, obviously, more disappointing because they had expectations where UCLA was just kind of lost. We get to see the debut of Dampier at Utah and Nico Amiava with UCLA. We have all of our guest pickers with Utah. Matt, who do you have?
Utah. I don't think I think you take Nico out of Tennessee and there's not much left. I think UCLA is building a good program. I just don't think that I think they get the short end of the stick. Utah has a lot of players returning. Did lose some skill players and their quarterback, so that'll be fun to see what they do with all that. But I think Utah has more experience on the field, so I gotta go Utah.
Yeah, I went with Utah because the area I saw for them, they have a huge advantage in the trenches. They may have two tackles that go in the first round next year. So
Mhm.
I like that a lot for Utah. I had to go with the Utes here. Then we go into a game that we kind of mentioned already, the most sold home game of all time since a host Nebraska all the way at Kansas City. There are going to be 90% Nebraska fans in this game. We have all of our guests taking Nebraska here. Matt, what are you looking at for this one?
I'm going with Matt Rule year 3. I've been saying this for the last literally 365 days. That Matt Rule is going to turn Nebraska around. I think this is a good chance for Matt Rule to prove that here. Cincinnati returns a lot, has a lot of good, solid players on the defense, but I just don't think it's going to be enough. Nebraska takes the away game with the home fans.
The away game with the home field advantage. Yeah, I got to go Nebraska as well. This is another one of those where I kind of looked at this one. I was like, I mean, maybe Cincinnati has a puncher's chance, but I was just like, I would rather take Nebraska in this one and be pleasantly surprised if Cincinnati wins it.
We may have lost Justin. Um, he'll probably drop off here in a second. Um, yeah, so it's pretty evident that Nebraska is going to win that one. Everybody has it. So we can move on to our Conference USA picks. Looking here, Intern Tones has Utah State. College Football Home, Utah State. TNT Podcast, Utah State. Omar, UTEP. Like you, Omar. I think that UTEP is going to pull this one out. Malachi Nelson got the nod to start for UTEP. I think it's his time to shine. He's bounced around a little bit, lands at a program that is going to bring a decent amount of offense. And they just needed a quarterback, and Malachi Nelson is going to be that guy. Now, when Justin comes on here, he's going to say something about how Utah State is a solid program, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we get it. But the Miners, I'm for you. But definitely get on here, get on YouTube, get on Twitter, post your picks to these games. We would love to hear from you. While I give Justin a minute to hop back on. The Cincinnati-Nebraska game, back to that for a second, it's going to be a good one. Brandon Sorsby has a lot of hype around him. Everybody in Cincinnati who's a Cincinnati fan wants to see so much from this kid. And he showed a lot, but he turned the ball over. So that's going to be one of the keys to see if they can win. It looks like Justin is having a lot of issues. So I will just keep rolling along until he comes back in. Moving on to Mac for a moment. We may have Justin back.
Finally.
All right.
Sheesh.
So Justin, you dropped off halfway through your Nebraska, Cincinnati comments. You left. I didn't know what to do, so I moved on to Conference USA. And then I was hoping that I timed it right, and I went back to Cincinnati, Nebraska, kind of giving some insight on the game. And you didn't pop in right then. So I was in the process of moving on to Mac when you popped in. So welcome back.
All right. Well, we won't go any further on the Nebraska Cincinnati thing. I'll with the Cornhuskers there. But yeah, for Conference USA, I was very torn between Utah State and UTEP. I think that's going to be a one-score game. Going to go down to the wire. I decided to trust Bronco Mendenhall in that one. Now we move to the MAC. Potentially the only competitive game in the afternoon slate for some reason. I don't know why they scheduled the afternoon slate the way it is. So make your way to ESPN Plus for UMass Temple because that is probably the only competitive game at that time. UMass, really, for both teams, like this game is actually very important. Both have a new head coach. They're kind of looking to gain some momentum, and this game will be very important for that momentum. So it'll be very interesting to see who comes out on top. We have split Among our guests here, intern Tones and Omar go with UMass, while CFB Home and the TNT podcast go with Temple. Matt, who do you have?
I think it's one of those games that like it's going to be competitive, but the product on the field isn't going to be like watching an Ohio State versus Penn State game. Um,
Actually, it's going to look very similar to that. Very defensive, not a lot of going on in offense.
I meant in terms of talent, but I got Temple winning here. I think Temple has a slight edge. UMass has has turned things around a little bit, but they didn't have a great year last year. I really neither did Temple, but I don't know. I think there's a little bit more promise in Philly for Temple than UMass up in UMass right now.
Yeah, up in Amherst, I think is what you were looking for. But
Yeah, that.
yeah, yeah, I decided to go with Temple as well. I think the Owls are just a little bit further along. It'll be a tight battle, but I'll go with Temple to emerge on top there. Then we go to the Mountain West. Boise State at South Florida. This is the fifth straight home opener or fifth straight opener that Boise State plays on the road, so they're used to doing this. Can the Broncos emerge, or South Florida manage to come out with a huge victory? All of our guests have Boise State.
Every year I want to pick South Florida to do well, and every year they shoot me in the foot. So this year I'm going to go with Boise State, not just because of that, but also because they have a solid program. They got pretty much everything except for Malachi Nelson and Ashton Genty back. So they have experience. They have it all. I don't think there's a whole lot else that needs to be said.
Yeah, I looked at this as well. Like I thought maybe with Byron Brown back, South Florida could really challenge. But then I saw the stat that so far under Golesh, they have not beaten anyone in that's been a top 75 team basically. So they may have a little bit more of a hill to climb than we thought. This one might be a little bit too much. I've got Boise State as well. Then we move to the Pac 12. More Pac 12 after dark. And this is actually a traditional Pac 12 after dark game. Oregon State versus Cal. Oregon State looks to rebound after a tough year last year. They had Malik Murphy coming in. Cal went to a bowl game last year, was hoping to take a step forward. They have a lot back in defense, but most of their offense hit the portal in the spring. Who do you think comes out here? And all of our guests went with Oregon State in this one.
I agree with them. Cal beat Oregon State 44-7 last year. Do you know what happened after the season, Justin?
What happened?
Everybody left Cal. So I have Oregon State taking the crown this year, the Pac-2 championship game in week 1.
Yeah, well, I was very torn in this game. And then I saw what all the picks rolled in here. So ultimately, I was just like, I was so torn in this game. I just decided to save the graphic on this one and go with the Cal Bears to win it. Good news, Calgorithm. One of us picked you. Then we have in the SEC, and actually, I got to join our friends at the Southern Rivals show to talk about this game earlier this week. We took the two teams with the most electric entrances in college football, and we decided to have them play in Atlanta because we did.
Why not?
Yeah. Anyways, moving beyond that discussed, South Carolina, they are looking to string together good seasons back-to-back years for the first time in the Shane Beamer era, while Virginia Tech is just simply looking for a good season in general. All of our guests took South Carolina in this one. Matt, who do you have?
I also have South Carolina in this one. I think Lenora Sellers is quite possibly one of the best quarterbacks in college football. Actually, not quite possibly. He is one of the best quarterbacks in college football. But just in case he can't complete the game, they now have a solid backup in Aaron Noland. I just think South Carolina, they had their chance last year. They had a max exodus on defense, but I think they did a good job of filling the holes that they needed. South Carolina takes this one.
Yeah, South Carolina still has some concerns in the offensive line, and we'll see how that goes. That's one area that Virginia Tech can take advantage, but I have to go South Carolina as well. I have too many concerns about Virginia Tech to take them in this one. Then we go to the Sun Belt. Georgia Southern makes the trip out west to face Fresno State. Pretty cool matchup here. This is the only, which by the way, I'll go over this. I'll go over this full list afterwards. This is the second of the first time matchups this week that we are picking. Boise State USF, I forgot to mention that earlier, was a first time matchup. This one as well, first time the programs have played. We have we have Bobby from the TNT College Football Podcast. He took Georgia Southern. Everyone else is on Fresno State. Matt, who do you like?
I agree. I'm going to take the scary dogs, as my daughter says. They got destroyed by Kansas, and I think this is a good bounce back game. You get to stay at home. Georgia Southern has to go cross country. I think the stars are aligning for the Bulldogs, at least for week 1.
Matt's daughter was very openly rooting for Kansas in this game, by the way. It was very funny to watch. I gotta go Georgia Southern just simply because I'm pretty high on what the Eagles can bring this year. And what I came most concerned about watching Fresno State was a lot of what plagued them in that game was the same issues last year. I thought with the new coaching staff, they could see improvements in the offensive line. It's not any better. They couldn't run the ball at all. They couldn't protect EJ Warner. That offense is going to take some time. They're not ready to deal with Georgia Southern in this one. I got the Eagles. Then we move to the FCS level. We have the Orange Blossom Classic, a game which unfortunately got moved off of its traditional time because of Notre Dame and Miami. Normally, this game gets a standalone Sunday afternoon time, but because of that game, they moved it to Saturday. This one is in the afternoon, so make sure you tune in because there's not a lot of competitive games in the afternoon on Saturday. Florida A&M looks to continue to be top SWAC contenders, while Howard kind of trying to figure out what they're going to be. They won the MEAC just a couple of years ago, but then last year kind of dropped off. Can they rebound, or are they maybe potentially in for a rough year? All of our guests took Florida A&M in this one.
I would agree with that. I think the name of the game in this particular game is to stop Howard's running back. He's a beast. I think that's doable for the Rattlers defense.
Yeah, I like Florida A&M as well. This team's looking really good this year. That's it for our pick'ems. So also, I hinted.
Justin, note last year how good we were with picking games.
Yeah. These new challengers stepping in the ring. They're going to be. I was going to say they're going to be challenged, but that's not really a good statement. But either way, they're not stepping in just going to easily take us down, Matt.
They're challenged, all right.
Oh yeah,
love you guys. No, I mean, I'm just saying, we did a good job last year picking. It came down to the final week. I threw out a prayer because I knew I was a little bit behind, so I made a few picks to kind of go opposite you on purpose, and they failed me. So, but we were a solid, almost 30 games over 500. So we were, or I guess it would be 20 games over 500. But I think we did a good job picking last year. So off to another good start this year.
Yeah, and we did not take a lot of softball games either. We try to challenge ourselves with a lot of toss-ups each week. At least as many as we
which is why we didn't choose Penn State versus Nevada. We're not gonna give ourselves softball questions here. We're gonna make it hard, interesting, and the pick'ems each week are gonna be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing that I just decided I wanted to make sure we include each week: first time matchups, teams that are playing for the first time ever. Make sure you catch at least a little bit of all of these games. We mentioned 2 of them already. We also have Akron versus Wyoming, Wake Forest versus Kennesaw State, Colorado versus Georgia Tech, Sam Houston versus UNLV, Maryland versus Florida Atlantic, Indiana versus Old Dominion, the aforementioned Penn State Nevada game, Michigan and New Mexico, USC and Missouri State, Ole Miss and Georgia State, and then probably the biggest surprise to me, Washington versus Colorado State. You wouldn't have thought those two had played together before.
Yeah. It's surprising that like there's so many matchups that have not ever played each other. Like I think I would have figured by now that we would have gone through them.
There's like a few of them that definitely surprised me, especially like even Georgia Tech and Colorado. Like you would have thought those two would have played at some point. Boise State and
Like,
South
yeah.
Florida would have crossed paths.
Yeah, like some random. Well, I guess I don't know. Colorado's never been good. Georgia Tech was really good a long time ago.
And then with playing Akron, Wyoming has now played all but two MAC teams. The only two MAC teams left they have not played are the Miami Redhawks, and this one they need to do in the next few years. Wyoming has not played the Buffalo Bulls. They have got to play that series before Josh Allen retires. Like, that is the perfect Josh Allen series.
Yeah, in Buffalo, so Josh Allen can attend.
Yeah, obviously, like get that as like the home opener. I mean, Josh Allen would definitely be in attendance. Make it a week 1 game both years, and I mean that would just
or
be
week 0. Have that be a week 0 game. That would be so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Make it a week 0 game one of those years when you can make it a week 0 game when only one of those years. It's when Wyoming plays at Hawaii because then they get the Hawaii exemption, and that's when you can make it a week 0 game. So do that, and man, that series would be a lot of fun.
Well, that, Justin, is Updog Sports Talk. Our first episode live back this year. Look for more talk coming each week.
You'll find us here every Wednesday at this time.
Yeah. Well, I'm in grad school now, so I mean maybe we'll have to flex a day here and there. Yeah, so we will cover NFL at some point, but I mean there's not a whole lot to talk about other than some contracts. So look for some NFL talk coming up soon. We will not stop college football talk. And then maybe we'll throw in some MLS now that the season is kind of winding down. Try to get like a little bit of look into the playoffs there. Baseball season is winding down. The Reds are 3.5 games out of the wild card, Justin, since you probably haven't noticed that the Reds have done anything at all this season. So we have playoff baseball coming up in about a month. So we may cover that as well. So just a tiny look ahead. Follow us at Updog Sports Talk, X, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. We're on Substack now. Justin puts articles out there. I'll occasionally put a video and like a little description on it. That video may or may not be locked to paid subscribers only. I don't know how that happened earlier today. So
Really? We don't even have paid subscribers. Everything's free.
That's why there was 0 views. Forgot to tell you that one. Yeah, I don't know how I locked that one, but yeah, we're on there now. You can obviously find us on YouTube. We are on Spotify, Podbean, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, wherever you get your podcast. We're there. Go find us. Shout out to all of our friends and your channels, and we will catch you guys next week. See ya.
Yeah.